StraighTallDay.com.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is, we are on part 2 of our 2-part mini-series. It's actually going to be a 4-part series broken up into 2 mini-series as to why the red pill movement is great for society. This is part 2 of why the red pill movement is great. And then after this, tomorrow and the day after, we're going to talk about why the red pill movement may be dangerous or maybe even bad for society. But first, let's get here. Let's pick up right where we left off on point number 4. If you didn't hear the previous episode, you can listen to it. You know how to find the previous episode. Point number 4, why the red pill movement is great. It is warning men about the legal and social risks for men when getting into relationships. Unfortunately, this is a topic that must be broached these days. I think all of us can agree, whether you are a male or female, whether you have been in a serious relationship or not, especially a marriage, and especially those of you who have been in and out of marriages, we all know very well, damn well, that when a man and a woman get into a relationship, if that relationship dissolves, especially if kids are involved, that all the benefits go to the woman. The man gets completely screwed, especially if you end up in a legal situation, such as a custody battle, such as divorce court. The man is going to get screwed. The man knows he's going to get screwed, and the woman knows he's going to get screwed. And because they got married, the man put himself in position to get screwed. Some of you men who are listening to this have already been screwed. Some of you are in the process of getting screwed. Some of you women have been in situations where you were with a man and he got screwed because you ended up in court with him. Doesn't mean you did it necessarily for nefarious reasons, but the reality is, and this is what the red pill movement is telling men, that if you get into a relationship with a woman, there is a good chance that if it goes bad, if she somehow, some ways, they would make it into a legal situation, you are most likely going to get screwed. Is this true, ladies and gentlemen? The answer is hell yes, it's true. Michael Jordan. I mentioned Michael many times here on the show. He wrote the biggest divorce settlement check in history, at least at the time that he wrote it. I believe the check was for $280 million. $280 million he had to write a check to his ex-wife when they got divorced because Michael did not have a prenuptial agreement. And there have been many more situations like that. Notably is men getting into situations that become battles. It didn't look like Michael was battling with his ex-wife when he divorced from her, but there have been battles such as the Johnny Depp Amber Heard situation where Johnny Depp actually won, but look how much resources it cost Johnny Depp to defend himself in court. You look at someone like Andrew Tate, who allegedly has a bunch of accusers. It's been very difficult to identify because there are a bunch of people, mostly men, saying that he has accusers, but we haven't really heard from the accusers saying anything negative about him. Recently, when I'm recording this, in the spring of 2025, there was a woman who came out who claimed that he beat her, but the story sounds very fishy. We'll see how it ends up working out in court. And Bill Cosby has been another one. Donald Trump has been another one. There have been many others, and specifically men who are publicly noted men who are famous and noted for having money. They often end up, if not criminal court, civil court, where a woman is trying to sue them for some form of wrongdoing, often some form of sexual battery or sexual assault. And the burden of proof in a civil case is very low. The burden of proof is more likely than not. Is it more likely than not that this guy sexually assaulted you based on the very loose definition of that very loose term? That man's probably going to have to write a check. And when it comes to divorces, again, the man usually has to give something to the woman and the woman usually gets the kids. The man has to give more because of that. And there have been many stories of that. You can just name somebody. All of you can come up with a name right now. And any of you who work in a legal space, you can probably come up with a lot of names that we may not even know. And the man has to pay. It's going to cost you. And the red pill movement is warning men, hey, you get into a marriage with no prenup, this is what you're setting yourself up for. You getting yourself into a marriage and have kids with a woman who ends up being scorned by you for whatever reason, or maybe you don't like her that much anymore. The kids are in between, and the woman is going to have more control over the kids than you are as a general rule. You can see an example of this with someone like Kanye West and Kim Kardashian. Now, whose side, quote unquote, you may be on in that circumstance, I don't know. But can we agree that it seems like the mom has a lot more control over what the kids are doing or not doing than the dad does. Is that a good thing? We don't know. We can only follow it through the news. We don't know what's actually going on with these folks except what we hear. But the point being, if you're the man, you get into a relationship, you have a child, and something goes wrong in the relationship, that child could and will be used as a pawn against you, depending on who the woman is and the reason for the breakup. The red pill talks about these things, lets you know what you're setting yourself up for, especially if you are a publicly noted figure. Possible false accusations around things, sexual assaults, custody battles, all of which leans in the favor of the woman. All of us know this is true. And I don't know why the red pill community has to be the ones pointing this out. Now, everybody should be pointing this out. This has always been the case. This is not new. The red pill men seem to have taken ownership of this conversation, and it encourages men to protect your assets and make informed choices when it comes to marriage and dating, which has always been the case. Make informed choices. Now it's just become more centered in the conversation. And we cannot pretend as if we have not seen, as I already explained, many publicly noted, well-known men having sexual allegations levied against them, ending up in criminal or civil court, and having very little leverage with which to actually defend themselves and their reputations in the process, because the reputational damage that hurts the most. Someone like Johnny Depp, he won his case, but the reputational damage he suffered and having to go through that doesn't wash off. You don't just take a shower and that goes off. That's going to be with him forever, just because the woman brought him to court, or he brought her to court. Just the fact that she accused him, just the accusation alone stains your name. And you have very little leverage with which to defend yourself, and especially your reputation. Again, I already mentioned a bunch of other names. Conor McGregor is another one in Ireland. He got a civil case against him. He lost a civil judgment. A woman who claimed that he sexually assaulted her. If any of you have read the court documents, Pete Hegseth, who's currently, I believe, Secretary of Defense of the United States of America, is appointed by Donald Trump. He had a sexual assault allegation from a woman. Again, if y'all read the court documents, the stuff that the women involved gave to police when they were giving their statements, if you read through these documents, you will understand how crazy it is that when a man has a certain amount of status and is noted for having some level of power or leverage, that the court doesn't really give a damn that the woman's statements or testimony doesn't quite add up to what they are accusing the man of. The man still ends up getting the reputational loss, if not the civil loss. Conor McGregor got a civil loss, and people keep saying, well, Conor McGregor, the woman he had sex with, she had to have the tampon that she was wearing that night surgically removed from her body because he, quote unquote, raped her so poorly, or raped her so brutally. And I don't think so. Read the court documents. Read the court documents. Her own friend, this is what I'll tell you. If y'all haven't read it, most of you are not going to read it. But her own friend, the girl who went to Conor McGregor's hotel room that night, her friend testified against her and said, hey, she was actively seeking McGregor out and wanted to have sex with him. And not only did she have sex with Conor McGregor left the hotel room, and Conor's friend, who was also in the hotel room, the girl went and had sex with him, the friend, after Conor McGregor left the hotel room. Does that sound like someone who's getting raped? Not necessarily. It depends on the story. If you hear the rest of the story, then it makes sense. It makes a whole lot of sense that she was just seeking this guy out. She saw him out through social media, DM'd with him. He told her where to come. She came over with her friend, had sex with the guy, then let the other guy have sex with her. And then later on, she claims sexual assault because she didn't want to look like a whore to her boyfriend. This story is as old as, I don't know, as old as something. All right, as old as the printing press. That story right there. All right, it's been told many, many times by people who are not famous. But again, I'm just using McGregor as an example. Go read the documents yourself and draw your own conclusion. Bill Cosby, I already mentioned. And there are many others who are not famous. And when a woman is found to have brought some bullshit allegation, there is no recourse for the man because you can't get your reputation back. There's no recourse for your reputation. Maybe there's some financial recourse, maybe if the woman has any money. Most of the time she doesn't. Notice famous women usually don't accuse men of sexual assault. Notice that? It's usually the woman who has hardly anything, but the man's got everything. They're the ones who get the accusations. And the legal system's not doing anything to solve this either, are they? Even if the man, quote unquote, clears his name, he's still got to deal with that for the rest of his life. The red pill is just letting people know about it. Point number 5. Today's topic, once again, is why the red pill movement is great for America. Number 5, it creates a male-centered space and a place for building brotherhood. As I explained in the first part of this series, a man cannot learn how to be a man from a woman. So any of you single mothers out there raising a young man, you cannot teach that man to be a man. I don't give a damn how much you assert it, how manly you think you are, how many masculine roles you have assumed because you are the only adult in the home. And I understand that you do need to do those things. You still are a female with a vagina. You are not capable of raising a man with testicles because you don't have no idea what it takes to be one. You are not qualified to do this. That man needs some male influence in his life to become a man. And the red pill community is offering a place where that could possibly happen. And maybe you don't think the red pill community is the best way to do it. But one thing I will guarantee you, it ain't going to happen coming from you. I will guarantee you that. Many men feel alienated in today's society, as I've explained. Social media has contributed strongly to this. The red pill movement is about helping men find a supportive community where other men are there. The same way that women have these communities and have always had communities that are just for women, now there are communities that are just for men. And some people may push back and say, well, men have always had communities for them. The whole world has always been for men. Well, I understand that argument. The point being, with the world being how it is today, with social media giving a lot of more leverage, especially in the dating marketplace, to the woman than to the man, there now needs to be a space for men. And anyway, if women already have their own spaces, what's the problem with men having their own spaces? What's the problem? How can a woman be offended by the fact that men have a space just for themselves? How is it bothering you in any way? It encourages a tribe mentality where men can hold each other accountable within communities and keep each other disciplined, which is a great thing. I believe this is also exacerbated by the fact that some of the women that men generally have access to, as I've already explained to you, they don't have access to these women anymore because these women no longer need to quote unquote settle for the average man. If she has any level of attractiveness, put yourself on the internet instead of having, again, 20 options from your town or people you went to high school with. Now you got 2,000 options all over the world. As a general rule, especially with the internet, it is much easier for the woman to get attention than it is for the man. So again, a man who's not yet built himself up to be valuable in the dating marketplace, he's 20 years away from being at his peak. The woman's at her peak right now. What does the man do? He ain't got nothing to do. This is the reason why you get incels. Point number 6. Today's topic, once again, is why the red pill movement is great for society. Number 6. Generally, I agree with the overall frame of what the red pill movement is doing because men can only be built up by other men, as I've already asserted, which is why I am a strong advocate of men being heavily involved in the raising of male children, especially male children. A man can only truly be held accountable to stick to their disciplines through other men. A woman cannot hold a man accountable to sticking to his disciplines. That's not possible. So again, you single mother women who are listening to this, who have male children, you must get that young man around a man to teach him the accountability, the discipline, the emotional control that a man needs. You are incapable of teaching this to him. Please stop trying and stop insisting that you can. You cannot. Men can only truly be held accountable and taught discipline by other men, period. And the red pill community is offering an opportunity for this to happen. It is a better option than a woman doing it. I don't care who the woman is. There's no woman masculine in the world enough to teach a man how to be a man. Ain't none. And I've met some masculine women with male kids. You still can't do it. Now, you got a vagina, you can't do it. One caution I would give to any man who is engaging with the red pill material is make sure that you don't spend so much time in your brotherhood and your community with other men that you forget how to actually engage with actual females. You still need to have that ability. Still need to have the ability to actually speak to a woman and hold a conversation with a woman in actual real life in the flesh where you can shake hands with her. I'm not talking through the internet or FaceTime. I'm talking a real conversation with a woman. I've had some people leave comments on my content on social media when I've talked about things that I guess may touch on red pill community material. I'm not a member of the red pill. Again, most of the people in it, I don't even know who they are. But I've had people leave comments on some of my stuff and say, well, Dre, I hear red pill men say ABC, but then they don't seem to have the communication skills to even talk to people in real life the way they seem to have when they're on camera on the internet. Maybe that is true. I don't know who these folks are that these commentators who are talking to me have been referring to. I've even said as much to them, like, why are you telling me? If you're saying this guy doesn't have those skills that you see on YouTube, then why don't you go leave comments on his video? What you talking to me for? I'm not responsible for that, man. But being that people have left this comment, I've heard this comment more than once. What I would say to all of you out there, especially those of you who may be engaging in the red pill community, is make sure that you don't spend so much time around men, you forget how to deal with women. And I would say the same thing to women. Don't spend so much time around women, you forget how to deal with a man. You still need to be able to actually take your skills and apply them in real life. That's the application part of the game that cannot be left out. It's not just learning, taking in info and developing thoughts or beliefs based on a lack of experience. You got to actually get the real life experience and actually go do the thing that you're reading about, thinking about, hearing about, taking courses on. So you got to get out there and maintain your touch. Never lose that touch when it comes to dealing with women, because most of the men in the red pill community are heterosexual men. They want to deal with women. They just don't have as many options right now, maybe as they would like to, because it's part of life as well that you are created to procreate and multiply. All right, that's what men were supposed to be fruitful and multiply. And you can't learn how to do that by only talking to other men. You got to actually deal with some women. And what we're going to do starting tomorrow and the day after, we're going to get into the con side, the negative arguments that people have against the red pill community. Now that I gave you the positives on the pro side of the red pill community. So let me first of all recap what we talked about here today, which is part 2 of our 2-part mini-series, Why the Red Pill Community is Great for Society. Number 4, it is warning men about the legal and social risks for men when getting into relationships, which we know these risks do exist. And the legal system, on the civil side and the criminal side, are both strongly weighted in the favor of the man. Number 5, it creates male-centered spaces and places for building brotherhood, which gives a place for a man to be held accountable, a man to make sure that he is being responsible, disciplined, and doing everything that he's supposed to do. A woman can't hold a man to this level of account. She can help and support and encourage a man, but she can't hold a man accountable the same way that another man can. That's why men need to deal with other men, and you don't have to be in a red pill community to do it, but male on male engagement matters. Number 6, generally I agree with the overall frame of what the red pill community is doing, because it is noticing that there is a need in the marketplace for men to have a place where they are supported, recognized, and held accountable for personal growth. And the red pill community is trying to do that, whether they do it well, whether they do it efficiently, whether you like their methods or not. Has nothing to do with my actual point, which is they are intending to do that, to help men get better, be better, do better, and be higher level contributing members of society. That's the way I see them. Maybe you don't see them like that. That's the reason why we're going to do the other side of this argument in the next 2 episodes of the show. But my frame is that that's what they're looking to do. And if you ask anybody who is in the red pill community, who is one of the creators and one of the content people or one of the leaders in that community, I guarantee you they would generally agree with my frame that I'm giving here. And that's why I got to give them the benefit of the doubt. But again, that's why I'm going to argue both sides of the conversation. So if you don't like this side, then you'll love the other side. Tomorrow, we're going to get into the con side of the red pill community. All this said, folks, work on your game university. All right, you want to step your game up. You want to get the gold and the green pill, because those are the 2 colors I care about the most. Gold is what you get when you win. Green is what you get when you make money. Those of you who are interested in those things, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. Let's get the gold and green pill so you can take your game where you want it to be and live the life that you want to live and serve people how you want to serve them. That's all at workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre all